Good afternoon and welcome back to Crafters TV. Lovely to have your company here on this Saturday afternoon here in the UK. What time is it where you are in the world? Probably a lot earlier over in the US, but it's lovely to have your company wherever in the world you are joining us from, because we have got a fabulous 2-hour craft along lined up with our lovely Corrine. I am joined by Corrine again for this show, and she's got the most incredible project that she's going to be sharing with you with our amazing Shimmer Ink Pads. Now, lots of amazing things going off today here at Crafters TV. We've got a jam-packed day, we've got amazing shows, but we've also got tons of deals. I'd just like to share a few of those with you, just to make sure that you guys at home don't miss out. Now, we did spin that wheel. If you didn't watch this morning's show, Play Across Right, I had the honour of actually spinning that wheel. I managed to spin it all right. Phew! I had sort of visions of me trying to spin the wheel and it not moving and getting stuck or something, but thankfully, it all spun okay. We've got a fabulous deal for you, but it's only valid for today. It expires at midnight tonight. Every order over £10 or $10, you're going to get that fabulous Flamboyant Feathers die set. You can see that on your screen there. On orders over £10 or $10, we're going to be placing that in your order. Amazing free gift on all of your orders just for today. Now, if you really wanted to pick up a bargain, then we've got our incredible spring sale over on the website. We've kicked it off at the start of this week. You've got savings of up to 70%. Well, we say up to 70%, that's the official line, but if you go over to the website, check out that sale, you'll actually see some savings of up to 80%, which is quite frankly ludicrous, let's be honest. Some of the prices are absolutely rock bottom in there. It is incredible. So if you want a bargain, get yourself over to the website for sure. Now, talking of bargains, we're also in the midst, well, I say in the midst, we're getting towards the end of our National Craft Month celebration. Every week we've brought you a different sort of theme and we've got incredible deals to go alongside that theme. This week's all about storage, so we've got saving 15% on selected Crafters Companion and Spectrum Noir storage. Check out the website for that. Some fabulous deals on there. Great if you're looking to organise your craft room. Maybe you're having a little bit of a spring clean, you're looking at that storage and that organisation. Great time to stock up when you've got that 15% saving. And talking of storage, we've also got, just for this weekend only, it's ending at midnight tomorrow night, we've got some amazing deals on some of your Totally Tiffany storage. Put some bundles together for you. We've hand selected some of our sort of best bits of the Totally Tiffany range and built some fabulous bundles for you. You'll find those over on the website, but valid only for today. So much going off. We've got 2 hours of a fabulous craft along. I love craft alongs and I know you guys at home love them too. They are award winning after all, and it's just a great opportunity to follow along with one of our amazing craft experts, follow that project from start to finish and create something absolutely fabulous at the end. And today's project is an absolute stunner. I have to say, I'm so excited with this one. But if you're wanting to craft along at home, you're going to need to know exactly what you need to create this project. So we're going to go over to Corrine. She's going to take us through exactly what we're going to be creating, and she's going to run us through that shopping list as well, so you can get all your supplies together and make sure that you've got everything you need in for this incredible craft along. So Corrine, it's lovely to be back with you.
It is, yes, really good fun. So we are going to make this little notelet holder, this little folder. You can use it for whatever you want. You can be, you know, organisation, it's entirely up to you. Now, I've used my stencils on this from the new glitter pastes. I've used Your True Friend, you know, thinking about giving it as a gift. I've just put a flower on. Now, you can change the sentiment, you can change the flower, you can change the stencils as well. The main thing is I want to show you how beautiful these Shimmer Ink Pads are, and some of the different techniques from stamping to heat embossing to stenciling to blending. We've gone through the whole lot on there. So when you open those up, you can then see inside. I've got a couple of little folders. Now it's up to you. I've got some little notelets in there. I've even got one. I actually made a little card, look, using the Shimmer Ink Pads that would then fit absolutely perfectly, oops, I've knocked that off, into there, just like that. If you wanted to, you can be putting little gifts in, little crafty gifts. I put some like some little beads and some little wooden embellishments in. It's entirely up to you. You can put in whatever you want. And then I decorated it slightly different on the inside to how I've done it on the outside as well. So we're going to have lots of fun, and I'm going to show you how easy that is to put together. So let's have a look at what you'll need. Now, it says Shimmer Ink Pads. So I have used Queen Bee, Raspberry and Starlit Sky. But if you don't have those three, we were saying earlier, I don't think there's a bad combination with these these Shimmer Ink Pads. So you just use which you've got. And again, I've used the glitter paste stencils Art Deco and then spots and dots. But again, use whatever stencils you've got. I've got multi-purpose card in A3 and I'm going to use some A4 as well, and then some matte black card on there. Then I've used the Yummachu Friend stamp and die set, the 3-in-1 rounded corner punch, Regal Rose die set and leaves and vines die set, again, but use whatever you've got. Some circle nesting dies, Score Master, ink blending tools, finger daubers and a heat tool. And then finally guillotine, hook and loop fastening dots, all-purpose glue, tacky glue, tape pen, clear sparkle pen, clear embossing powder, fine glitter, gems and a Gemini die cutting machine. So I think that's it from what we need for there.
Fabulous. I am so looking forward to this craft along. We've got lots of people joining us over on the socials. Say a quick few hellos. Sarah's joining us, Lois is joining us, Barbara, Rhonda, Terry, Laurie, Zoe Carver saying afternoon, Lorraine, Tammy, Pawprint, Mary Pat 1000, Dina and Barbara McNeil is so excited to craft along as well. But talking of fabulous people who are going to be crafting along with us, it's not just us two in the studio today. We've got a fabulous guest joining us via Skype all over the way in Ohio, I am being told. We're joined by the lovely Sherry. It's great to have your company, Sherry. How excited are you for this craft along?
Very excited.
Oh, fabulous. Have you got everything you need ready for the project? Got all your Shimmer Ink Pads to hand?
Ready to go.
Ready to go, ready and raring to go. Well, just pop your hand up if you've got any questions or if you need to slow down for anything. Just let us know if we can help you in any way. We will be checking in with you throughout the craft along, seeing how you're getting along. But I'm super, super excited to see your take on the craft along. I always love it when we've got our guests on these shows. It's so much fun. So I hope you enjoy this craft along as much as I think everyone at home is as well. So we will be talking to you in a little bit. But bye for now, Sherry, and enjoy the craft along.
Thank you.
Right, so I'm going to take you through the fabulous ink pads that we are talking about as the craft along. Now it's all about the Shimmer Ink Pads. These pretty much took the world by storm when we launched them last October. They sold out, and I have to say I was gutted because so many people at home were disappointed and weren't able to pick these up at the launch. However, thankfully we've managed to get them back in stock and we've actually got the full colour range. So if you missed out at launch, don't worry, you're getting every single colourway that we brought to you when we launched these back in birthday week. 10 different colours, such a lovely range of colourways that you're getting within the range of 10 ink pads. Absolutely fabulous. And like Corrine was saying on this morning's show, it's almost like getting Centura Pearl in an ink pad. You can create your own Centura Pearl cardstock. So many techniques that you can do with these, and that's exactly what Corrine's going to share with you throughout this craft along. Really excited to see all those different techniques that we can do with these ink pads. If you've not got yours already, you're definitely going to be wanting to grab these, especially once you've seen that craft along and how amazing it is to work with these ink pads. All 10 ink pads in the Platinum Club is coming to you today for just $43.13 or $57.53. A brilliant price. You're looking at less than £5 per ink pad. And for a shimmer ink pad like these, that's an absolutely brilliant price. When you see how juicy, how absolutely gorgeous and opulent and quite how shimmery these are, you're definitely going to want to be getting these in your crafty stash. Now, without further ado, we're going to go over to Corrine. It's time to start this craft along. I am so looking forward to seeing this project come together.
Thank you. Right, now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the actual little wallet. Now, I picked up this sort of the inspiration off Pinterest. I'm not going to say it initially was mine, but there's lots of different versions. We're going to do it so that your finished area is about 6 by 4. But, well, it will be 6 by 4. If you want it bigger, then you just change your measurements completely. So I have got all of this in one piece, apart from this final little panel. So if you don't have A3, then what you can do is you can make it up to about here and then join it up and join two pieces together like that. So, you know, I'm sure you'll be able to work that one out. So I've got this on here and I'm hoping our George is going to be able to come right down into there. I'm going to step back to our George. So I put this on my Facebook and I think I did it on my Instagram last night so that people could take a screenshot of that, because I know when when we're doing it, people sort of say, oh, can you tell us again and again? So
Absolutely.
I've got that there. So that's sort of like the continuous measurement. So 4, 5, 9, and that is the distance for each one, just to sort of reiterate it. And then this is the extra card that you will need to cut as well. We're going to talk about it as we go, but just so people do. So hopefully you can get a screenshot of that, and then it'll work as we go along.
Absolutely. I have to say, I think the first thing I'll be doing when I get home tonight is I'll be getting a screenshot of that, and I'll be saving it into my collection, because I'm definitely going to be recreating that. So it's so helpful to have that for you guys at home.
And I'm not going to lie, it's going to be my Bible. That's why I wrote it out initially, because I couldn't make this if I didn't have that.
Absolutely.
Right, so the first thing we're going to do is take our piece of A3. Now I want this cut to, I'm going to use the whole length. I'm not going to trim anything off the length at all, but I need it 6 inches high. Now, when you bring in your trimmer, we can't do that, because clearly, I brought 2 just in case. If I put that, if I do that, obviously I can't get that in. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to do some of my scoring first, so that I can fold it. So much, much easier if you've got your large scoreboard. If you've not got a large scoreboard, don't worry, you can still do it on your smaller one as well.
And what scoreboard is that? Is that the big score?
Yeah,
the
this,
big,
the
one,
the big. Do you call it the big score?
Big
Yes,
score.
it is. Look, big score. It says. I always get muddled. I think it said Scoremaster on the list. But
Yes, I think we don't ship the big score to the US, so we've popped the Scoremaster on the list.
All
But,
right.
but you still can use the smaller one. You just have to score twice. But if you do have the big score,
it
that's
wouldn't
ideal.
be a problem. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my first score, and I'm going to have to go all the way down. I'm going to do my first score at 4 inches. There we go. All these measurements, sorry, I should have said all those measurements are in inches. So I go through with the big one, and then I just do one with the little. Then I'm going to do at 5 inches. Across there. There we go. And then I'm going to do at 9. There we go. And do that one. And then at 10.5.
I have to say, so many crafters work in inches. I don't know many crafters that work in centimetres.
No.
It just seems so much easier, don't you think?
Yeah. So just to confirm, 4, 5, 9 and 10.5. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold that over to there, making sure it lines up nice and square. There we go, do that one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that up here, because I've run out of room. So this is where my list comes in quite useful. So we've done up to this one here, the 10.5, and I'm going to effectively start again at the bottom, because if you want to mark it on your pen, it's paper, but because we started again, so I'm going to do another 4, then a 1.75. So I've butted that right up to the edge. And we always use the left-hand side, because we know that's the accurate measurement.
Yes, that's a
so
true
take that to
measurement.
there, and then, oh, let me just bring that over. There we go. So I'm going to go 4, and then I'm going to go 1.75. And can you see I've got about a 1/4 of an inch left here. There we go.
You can just see that.
There we go. So those are all of my measurements. And that's quite handy, having folded that, because that's going to help with the next bit.
Absolutely. And what you could be doing at home, you could be printing off those measurements, and the bits you've actually scored, just tick them off as you go along, just to make it easier, so you can see exactly where you are.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is take this folded piece, and now look, it fits lovely into my guillotine, whereas it wouldn't before. I'm going to take it up to the 6 inches, and so this arm's just dropping down. Let's just make sure I've got it up at the 6 inches. There we go. And then I'm going to cut off. Now, you might be able to use some of these little pieces for other bits, but we don't need that piece for now. So now we've got our piece that comes along just there, so you can see. So I can just reiterate those measurements. So we've got the one at 4, one at 5, 9, 10.5, 14.5 and then 16.25, so everyone can see that. Now the other thing we need, because I need for the lid, I need an extra little piece that's 6 by 1.75. Now I can't get it, there's nothing, can't get it out of there, so I'll just go to my stash of white cardstock, and I'm just going to cut, I'm going to do it this way, I'm going to do 1.75. My arm keeps dropping down, I need to get that tightened up. 1.75. I'm going to cut it that way first, hold that down, and then cut that to 6.
And that would be perfect if you've got little scraps in your crafty stash, as we
yeah.
all do. I say if you have, just have a look through your scraps and that would be perfect.
And effectively, all that's going to do is fit on the end there, because what I needed was a little bit more than A3. So you can see I've got my long piece here and there. So I'm just going to burnish down those score lines just so that I can see them.
Absolutely. We've got so many people joining us this afternoon. It's so nice to have everyone's company. Gareth Dobbs is saying hello. Mary Pat is thanking you for the measurements. I couldn't agree more. It's just making things so much more easy. Thea's made a screenshot. Good on you. Rhonda Crowley's Creations is saying another fantastic project. Definitely agree. Ginny's saying, oh my gosh, those are beautiful. Hello from Texas. That's from Polly. Carletta, good morning everyone from Arkansas. Oh gosh, everyone's loving this project. Everyone's so excited to be crafting along. Perhaps you're crafting along now, or you're just going to be saving the project for a later day. I think this is going to be one that so many people are recreating. It's such a fab project, and I'm so looking forward to seeing all the different techniques.
So you can see straight away now, look, that it's going to roll up like that effect. Oh, there we go. No, roll it properly. You can see. Can you see that that is how it's going to roll? Now, what you'll notice is that one is smaller than there. You see, that's how it's going to roll up like that, because then you're going to have one of your little wallets just going down there. Yeah. So it will all make sense in a minute. So what I've got is I've got this piece here that I need to pop onto there. But what I thought I'd do is I'd get my corner punch and I'm going to pop that in there. And I'm only going to take off the corners of 2 sides. So put those on there. There. I don't know, there's just something about having rounded corners.
I know what you mean.
It just looks lovely, doesn't it?
Something I don't do enough, but if you were lucky enough to manage to get your hands on our new corner punches, this is definitely the time to get those out.
I didn't, so I had to go to our Tracy this morning. So I'm just going to use some wet glue and I'm just going to pop that on to the end, because I thought if I put that on now, that can be drying. So I've just popped that on. And effectively put my score lines underneath, so you can see that just dries, and we've now, can you just see that seam under there?
Perfect.
And that's hardly visible, so we can pop that. I folded that, and I've got glue on my hands. Let me just burnish that down again. Just press that down. There we are. Right, so I'm going to pop that to one side, because that is the wallet, the casing done.
Fabulous.
Now, if you looked at the list that I had in, we needed some mats and layers. So if we just look at this, so basically every area has mats and layers on. So what we need to do is we need to make 3 of our pieces there. And have I put, I think I might have forgotten to write down, let me, I'm just going to check in a minute. I'm not sure whether I've written those down. I will check that in a minute. There might be something else to put on. If there is, I'll shut up. So we need all the mats and layers. So if you think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the big ones, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 of the smaller ones, because there's none in the middle. I haven't. Right, I shall sort that one out in just a minute. So let's cut out our mats and layers first, because we can be decorating those up, and then I can work it out. I've just forgot to write it down. So what we need is your black is going to be the largest, and your white is going to go down by 1/4 of an inch, because that's going to give us the perfect mat and layer. So if we think our wallets are going to be 6 by 4, so then we've gone 5 by 3/4 by 3 3/4. So those are the 6 mats and layers. And then this one here, I will need 4 pieces, but I'm actually going to do it as 1 and then cut them down after I've decorated them, just to make it easier. So I'm going to cut 6 in black at that size and 1 of that size, 6 in white at that size and 1 in white of that size.
Yes, that makes sense.
So let's just do some cutting then. And if you work this out right, you will get it really easily out of your cardstock. So what I'm going to do here is it says I need 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I'm going to do my 5 3/4 this way. There we go. Go 1 like that. If I do it down the length, then my 3 3/4. Let's just move those out of the way. I should, if I remember rightly, I think I got 3 out of each one. Just so 3 3/4.
Yes, I think you should do. Just
Should do, shouldn't
work,
I?
Yeah, just trying to work it out. in my
Yeah,
head, but
I'm pretty
I think you
certain I
will.
did.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, 3 3/4. I'm mindful of trying to do that. And then, look at that, 3 3/4.
How satisfying is that?
Look at that. And that
Ah, nice.
is all that was left. So I need to do that twice.
Brilliant. Well,
I
we've had
need
a message from Evelyn. Good morning from cold Colorado. Had a few inches of snow last night.
Oh,
Oh my
no.
goodness. That's definitely not what you want. Stay safe, stay warm, stay inside and get crafty is definitely the best advice I can give in that sort of weather. Weather here has been a bit funny this week. We've had an awful lot of rain. It's been a bit warmer though, which is good. I feel like spring might be on the way. I've probably spoken too soon. I'll probably leave tonight and it will be snowing. But yes, I did leave last night and it started throwing it down with rain, typically. But hopefully spring is on the way and hopefully you've got some nice weather wherever in the world you might be. But yeah, definitely.
I am so ready for spring.
Oh,
'Cause
goodness, yeah.
Well, you're not in tomorrow, are you?
No, I'm
'Cause
not.
in the UK, our clocks go forward tonight.
They do,
So I
yes.
did say because it's our Debbie with me tomorrow, Debbie
Yeah.
Robinson, and she drives up on the morning.
She does,
And I'm
yeah.
like, don't forget the clocks.
Oh, otherwise I might be sat at home and I get a phone call, Lily, we need you to run down quick. Debbie's an hour behind.
Right, now there you go. Look, 6 pieces now at 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. And I will keep those because I can actually, I'll probably make my flowers out of those and use my mats and layers for my stamping.
Yeah.
So, it's like you, we don't throw anything away.
Gosh,
so
no.
I've done those ones, and then we're going to do the same with the white. So it's going to come out of 2 pieces because if I could get the first layer out, then I'm going to get these. So we're going to do
Absolutely.
exactly the same. We're going to do 5 1/2 this time. There we go.
And is it the large guillotine you're using or the small
I am
one?
using the large one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
have
I
to
can
say
just-
I tend to.
Yeah, because I can do my cuts easier.
Yeah.
So 5 1/2 by 3 1/2. Now, I don't know if you noticed when I was doing the black, you probably just didn't because I do it automatically. So I'm going to cut my 3 1/2.
Yeah.
So I've got a non-cut line on that side, but a cut line on that side.
Yeah.
So then when I come to this one, I'm going to do this. So I've got 3 1/2 just there.
Yeah.
But when I pick up this piece, it's just habit. I turn it that way, so my
Do you
cut
know,
line
I
is
do
there.
exactly the same.
So
What?
that
That's
then
funny,
when I
isn't
do
it?
on here, I have still got, if I do that, that is original cut.
Yeah.
And I've only got 1 cut line. I just find that if you are going to be making mistakes with your cutting, those are absolutely perfect. If you are, it's 1 less cut line.
Yes,
And
yeah.
I was doing something with Craig, and he said, you do it automatically, don't you? And I went, I don't even think about it now.
Does Craig not do it then?
I don't know.
Because
think
I
it was
do
with
it.
Craig.
Yeah, but I don't think about it either. But yeah, now you've mentioned it, yeah. I wonder if any guys at home do it as well, or maybe it's just a strange Lilly and Corrine thing.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm sure it was Craig, but yeah, it's just a habit now. I always try to minimise the amount of cuts on a piece.
Yes,
and it just goes. So
absolutely.
that's going to go through there. This one's going to have 2 cut edges because it's the middle piece. So 3 1/2.
We've got some more weather talk. This is from Shadiah. Our weather is crazy this week. Was 40 Fahrenheit, which to us guys here in the UK was 4 Celsius on Monday. And
Oh, wow.
yesterday was 84 Fahrenheit, 29 degrees Celsius and humid. Now I thought our weather was strange.
So from 4 to 29
4
in
to
a week.
29.
Wow.
That is bizarre. And now our weather's not been quite that freaky, but yeah, I'd definitely take 29 degrees any day. I do love the warmth and the heat.
Yes, that is strange, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've cut these big ones here. So now I want 1 black in 5 3/4 by 5 and then 1/4 inch smaller in white. So we shall do those.
Oh, apologies, that was not from Shadiah, that was from Susie. Susie was telling us that about the weather.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, I'm not quite sure. I know Susie's in the States, but I'm not exactly sure whereabouts. That's New Orleans. Wow, New Orleans.
Wow. That
Crazy.
is absolutely bonkers. So 5 3/4 by 5 or I can use this piece of white that I've already got a bit of cutting into, and then I'm going to do it by the 4. Maximise your cardstock, so if I do it with the smallest first, 4, and then, yeah, by 5.5.
And it's always just that extra little bit of planning, just taking an extra second or two just to think about it. Just allows you to get more out of your cardstock, and you waste less that way.
Don't worry that those don't, you can see them that way. Basically, I'm going down 1/4 of an inch for each of the mats, so that actually works. It does work right, so it will be spot on. So we've got those 2 pieces there, and we'll do the wallets in a minute. I think we should get on to the fun bit. So do you want to just check that Sherry's been able to keep up with the cuts?
Yeah.
And then we shall start the fun stenciling and colouring.
Oh, absolutely. Super excited for that. We're going to check in with Sherry just to see how she's getting along. Are you keeping up all right, Sherry? How are you going so far?
Yes, I actually called last night after I saw her Facebook post.
Oh, brilliant. So you're super organised, super ahead. You're all ready. I bet your fingers itching to get those inks out, get stenciling, get all your techniques going. Yeah, so you're all up to date. So we're all good. Brill.
Right.
We shall check in with you a little bit later, but enjoy the rest of the craft along. Now, just if you guys at home, perhaps you're a little bit behind, perhaps you're not quite as organised as Sherry was with getting all those mats and layers cut out already, we're just going to give you a moment to catch up. And while you're doing that, we're going to share with you some sneaky little deals. Now, talking of deals, this is more than a deal, this is more like a deal and a half, quite frankly. This is incredible. We gave you a little bit of a sneak peek of this on this morning's Playcrafts, right? This is, quite frankly, it's ridiculous. £7.20. £7.20 for 22 elements, stamps and dies. 4 sets, £7.20 or $8.80. This is our balloon sentiments. Matching stamps and dies in this set collection. 4 sets you're getting included. And what you have within each set is you have your balloon stamp, you have that main word sentiment with a coordinating die. And then we also bring together some additional stamps that allow you to build up your own phrases. So it could be something like, congrats, proud of you, or it could be, congrats, you did it. Allows you to really personalise your makes. With this one, we've got love. Again, the same sort of idea with your balloon stamp, that matching die, and the extra stamps as well. Then you've got the thanks. That's going to be a super useful one. Whenever you want to say thank you, perhaps it's thanks a bunch, it's many thanks. Lots of options to build those sentiments. And finally, we also have the party. How about using your Shimmer Ink Pads on there? Perhaps you're going to stamp with your Shimmer Ink Pads, and then you're going to heat emboss using some of your clear embossing powder. How fabulous would that look? Maybe even a bit of ombre stamping, a different colour for each letter. But quite frankly, if you've not got these already, you have to get these at £7.20 for all 22 elements, stamps and dies, $8.80. Absolute steal. You guys have been loving that. It's easy to see why, but it's flying out the door, so do grab it while you can. Absolutely incredible. However, perhaps you're looking at those Shimmer Ink Pads and thinking, I want to do a little bit of colouring with those Shimmer Ink Pads, like Corrine was doing on this morning's Playcrafts, right? You can use those ink pads to colour with, and a great stamp and die set that you can be doing that with is our colourable creator cards. Within each collection, within this range, you're getting 6 different sets, and each one has that main focal element, that main focal image. Here it's your cupcake. Then you've got your cut in die, allowing you to cut the design into perhaps your card blank. And then you also get that outer die, which allows you to cut that design out as a panel. We're also bringing you sentiment stamps in all of these sets as well. And we've actually, that one's got stuck to that board, but that's our thanks a bunch. Absolutely gorgeous, great for Mother's Day, great for anything at this time of year, really springtime feel to this one. But again, the same idea with your cut out elements with your dies and those fabulous matching stamps. And then a gorgeous one, this is so much fun to colour. How amazing would this look, watercoloured using those Shimmer Ink Pads. This is our lovely sweet roses. Of course, it could be cut into your card bases, it can be cut out as a panel, and then you can be adding on your sentiments to really finish off those projects and make them look extra special. How incredible would it be to have a shimmery dragonfly? You could be stamping with your Shimmer Ink Pads and then perhaps dragging that colour out. You could be just doing these in black and white and adding a little bit of glitter, touch of sparkle. However you choose to work with these, they're going to be looking absolutely fabulous. Perhaps you're going to stamp multiple times, snip into some of them and actually decoupage them up to give even more dimension. However you choose to work with these, they're an amazing collection of both stamps and dies 49 elements. You're saving £24.95 or $28.71, which brings you down to a price of $42.39 in platinum or $48.79. Wow, they're great little accompaniment. I say little accompaniments, not quite so little accompaniments, to go alongside your Shimmer Ink Pads, or perhaps you've already got your Shimmer Ink Pads and you just want to bag a bargain. Those two are some great ones to go for. Now I'm going to go back over to Corrine in just a moment, but I'm going to take you through the fabulous bundle of our Shimmer Ink Pads that we've got available. All of the colours that we launched with back last October, they really did go down an absolute storm. They sold out within that first week. We've managed to bring them back into stock especially. The 10 ink pads platinum price is $43.13 or $57.53, which is working out just a little over £4 or $5 per ink pad, which is incredible. You get that lovely teardrop shaped design, really ergonomic, really easy to hold and to work with. But there's so many amazing techniques you can do with them. And talking of amazing techniques, we're going to go back over to Corrine to continue with this fabulous craft along.
Okay, right, I'm going to pop this here so I can remember what I'm doing. Right, so we don't need to do anything with our black matte layers for now. They're all just going to sit to one side. So what we need to do is we need to separate these into two piles. So we've got 3 in one pile and 3 in the other. So if you think back to here, we've got 3 on the inside and then we've got 3 on the outside. So the 3 big ones that we're going to be focusing on, I've got the coloured background with the dots on that I'm going to heat emboss, and then I've done a white background with, what did we call it, the Art Deco stencil on the inside. So let's start with the inside one, shall we? So we're going to start with that one. I'm going to put it just there. So let's take 3 of these out of the way. Now what we're going to do is going to be very repetitive, because what we do for one, we're going to do for them all. So I'm going to take this out of here, and you can see I'll pop this on here. Now these are going to go that way, so I'm going to turn them all around landscape, and I'm going to get my stencil and I'm going to put it on here. Now this would potentially fit it, you could have cut it as one piece, and that would just, if you're really tight, you could have done it that way.
Just.
But what I liked is when I did these, I did them the same, and I like that effect, you can see. And by doing them separately, I could get the colours in the same place.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot more to get your head round to have done the colours in the same place.
Yeah.
So it's up to you. If you want to use a little bit of our stick and spray, something like this one, you can just spray a little bit on the back of the stencil. Let me just put a little bit over the... I've done the lightest amount because I really don't want it to overstick. So then all I'm going to do, now so that I get it the same, I'm going to line up my stencil so that I can see roughly. So all I've done is I've lined up 2 sides. So on here, I've lined on the top line with, they're almost like diamonds, and I've lined a diamond up down that side.
Yes.
Just so that I've got a reference point so that when I do the next one, I can line them up roughly the same again, if that makes sense.
It just gives you that really professional finish, doesn't it, when they all look the same?
Yeah.
I think it looks lovely.
So I've got my raspberry,
Ooh.
we've got Queen Bee, and we've got Starlit Sky. And as I said before, it's entirely up to you what colours you go for. You can go for whichever colours you want. Now, actually, I'm not going to use Leanne's Daubers. I'm scared to use Leanne's Daubers. I'm going to use mine, because I've got mine in the... Because I'm actually going to blend the colours where they meet.
Yeah.
I don't want to get hers contaminated.
Ooh, no.
What I do with mine is completely up to me, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Right, so I'm going to start with the Queen Bee. And I have found that the finger daubers, I just like them because I can get into the small areas. So I'm just going to... Before I start that, I'm going to just work. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of heat embossing, but for this one, I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of glitter before I heat emboss it.
Lovely.
So just to have those ready. And then we're going to come in with the Queen Bee and we're going to ink down there. Just making sure, I'm going to make sure I've got plenty of colour on. Now, as we said before, these are a pigment-based ink, so the ink will stay wet for quite a long time, so you don't need to overly rush with these at all. or there, I'll use that one. You don't need to over rush. You know, don't take ages, but it's not going to dry out straight away. So I'm going to come down with here, and I'm just doing them effectively 2 lines at a time.
Mm-hmm.
There we
I
go.
think it's always nice to have sort of like a system or a structure to things like that. I know that's how my brain works.
Yeah, but if you want to do them totally random, I've seen that done and it looks really lovely. But sometimes I'm not very good at random.
I'm exactly the same.
My
Corrine.
random ends up with a bit of a pattern,
Yeah.
and I always think you need a full pattern or full random.
Yes, I know what you mean.
So I'm going to come back in with my queen bee, and I'm just going to blend where those 2 colours overlap.
I mean, sometimes I'll start off and I'll stand there, demonstrate, I'll say, oh, I'm going to do this randomly, I'm just going to randomly stamp over this piece. And then I'll stop and I'll say, nah, I can't do random, I'm going to stamp in an order over this piece. I think it's just how your mind works. Some people can do random and it looks fabulous. I try and do random and it just goes into to more of an order. So it's whatever works for you, but random.
And that's what I love. I'm so looking forward to seeing everybody's take on this, because they'll have different stencils, they might have done it with a different colour combination, because, you know, if you're giving this would be lovely for little bits for a new baby. Would be, you could make if you were really organised, could you imagine these as your wedding invitation, so that you could have the invitation in one, the menu options in another, details about the venue, you know, the hotel rooms, the wedding list. Do people still do wedding lists?
I think they do, yeah.
I think so. It's just my daughter's been a bridesmaid in a couple of weeks, and she said, oh, there's been absolutely no talk of wedding presents, Mum. I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know whether people still do, but she just said that the wedding she's going to, there is no wedding list at all.
Well, my mum's getting married in a few months, so I kind of hope she's not watching, because she'll go, oh, you know that idea Corrine had for doing the wedding invites? Would you like to make those? But I don't think she has a wedding list. I'll have to ask her.
But you know what I mean? You can imagine just the 3 little wallets for the different elements. And just what I've tried to do is just blend those colours out, and then I'm coming down to the final one.
You can see that really coming to life already. It looks absolutely stunning.
But then, right, so let's just push those out of the way. I've got some white, I've just got some copy of paper just because I find that easiest to work on. I'm going to lift that up, and then I'm going to peel. Doesn't that look beautiful? Now, I'm not going to clean my stencil for a very good reason, and I'll show you in a minute. So what you want to do then is, I'm going to do a little bit of embossing powder. I'm not going to go too heavy, because I'm going to pop it around. And then I'm going to pop that down, and while it's still wet, I'm going to get some of my glitter. This is just a pot of, it's quite a fine glitter. Yeah. And I'm just going to sprinkle that in too. And it'll grip onto the inks because they're nice and wet.
Absolutely, yeah.
And because I've already made this once, I actually have a little pot here. And this is, can you see that sparkling? This is the ink, that's the embossing powder that knocked off the ones that I was doing. So there we go. So that is there. Actually, the glitter's not stuck to that overly well. I might just put a little bit more glitter on that one because it hasn't glittered up. I wonder if I put too much embossing powder on. There we go. There, that's better.
Oh yeah, we can see
that. There we
that
go. Right,
there.
so now I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm not actually going to heat emboss it yet.
Okay.
It's because once you've got the embossing powder on, it's fine. You don't need to rush at all, because that embossing powder will sit there for as long as you need it to. You don't have to cure it straight away. So this is what I was saying. I've now I can line it back up. Oh, there, I was about there, wasn't I? And what I can also see is where my colours were.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. It just makes it easier, doesn't it, that way?
It does.
Yeah.
So I'm actually want another piece of kitchen towel for my hands.
Mind you say about the embossing powder, it doesn't matter how long you leave it. So quite often I'll do a similar thing to you. So I'll not heat emboss, I'll pop my embossing powder on, I'll leave it to one side and I'll do the next piece. So I think I'll heat emboss it all at the end. Invariably what happens is I'll put it to one side of my desk, I'll be busy crafting, and then I'll knock it and all the embossing powder will fly off.
Yes,
so
that is
technically,
annoying.
yes, it doesn't matter, but just be careful, don't do what I too often do.
I've just put it on there nice and safely. I hope I can see it at the end because I've actually put it on top of the stencil folder. So yeah, so I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to do 3 of these. If you remember, we just needed 3 like this. There we go. I haven't used them, but can you imagine, we've got glossy accents on the show page today, haven't we?
Yes, we certainly do.
Can you imagine the outside one? You know, I used the dots and spots or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you put a tiny little bead of glossy accents in the centre of each one?
Yeah.
Do you know, the thing is, this is what I love is we do these craft alongs and then you can take the concept or not, or you can take, you know, one idea and then run with it and make it completely your own, can't you?
Absolutely. We've just popped the glossy highlights at the bottom of the screen as well. If you're looking to stock up on those, it's a buy 2 get 1 free deal on your glossy highlights. Today's price is $11.98 or $13.98. And exactly what Corrine was saying, we love seeing all you guys at home, your takes on the craft along. Perhaps you're just going to take the measurements from that wallet that Corrine's created, going to use it with something completely different in your collection, perhaps not the Shimmer Ink Pads at all. Maybe you're actually going to be using these stencils alongside the glitter paste if you're lucky enough to get those, and you're going to recreate the project using the glitter paste. It's just having that inspiration and actually taking it in whatever direction you choose. Mix up the colours, mix up the stencils, lots of different options, but yeah, definitely a fun project this one, and one you really want to get stuck into. Just have a good old crafty play.
And what I found is, you know, I'm trying to blend the colours, so I'm not trying to get them in straight lines. I'm trying to just, where they overlap, I'm just trying to blend. So I've got a little hint of sort of purple before it goes into the raspberry, and then here it's in the orange. The ink that sits on your stencil helps you to do that blending really well, doesn't it? You can really drag all your spare ink off your stencil and use it to colour blend. Just reminds me, I know the last craft along I was here for was our Debbie again, Debbie Robinson. She did her beautiful card with the Sent with Love collection.
Oh yes, yeah.
And I actually went home, and the next day I used that, and I actually used. What did I use? I used the Daisy collection. What's it called?
Delightful Daisies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Delightful Daisies. I made my mum's Mother's Day card.
I remember seeing a photo of that, and it's so nice to see your
Did I
take.
put my picture on?
You
I'm going to
did,
say I
yeah,
can't remember whether I put
yeah.
my picture on. I was just about to say.
Yeah, and it's fabulous to see your take, just using the concept, that sort of card style, and then using it with another collection. It just shows, just take that inspiration and go in whatever direction you choose.
My mum was dead chuffed with it. She was so pleased.
I bet it's one of those, she'll keep it forever, you know.
Oh, I'm sure she will.
Cards like that, you treasure them, and it's just something really special.
She has a friend who makes cards, and she's like, I'll have to show it to her. I'll have to show it to her. Okay, then you do that.
Oh, you know, you've done a good job then when the card gets paraded around.
So now I'm using this little pot that I've knocked, you know, the sort of the waste embossing powder, because it's already got enough glitter in.
Yes,
so I can then
perfect.
just make sure it's all over.
I love this technique of mixing the embossing powder and glitter. I think that's brilliant.
Can you see how it's really, I don't know if you can catch that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
Right, so that's 2 down. We're going to do the 3rd one now.
And I think there's something nice about where you've done the technique once, you've mastered that technique, and then just going back and repeating it. I think for me personally, there's something really mindful about having that repetition with your crafting. You just doing that technique, mastering that technique, then just going back and doing it again. There's something that I find super therapeutic about doing that.
Yes, it is. And you'll probably find that you'll have one, oh, where am I going? I've done the wrong one. You'll have one that you're so much more pleased with than the others. You know, by the end, you've really mastered it. So there we go.
Absolutely.
Pop that down. I only put the smallest little bit of stick and spray on the back. I'm just using. I find that it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're colouring or inking, ink onto paper towel or a cloth doesn't transfer in the same way as it does from hands.
It must be,
I think the paper towel absorbs it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and perhaps the heat of your hands sort of activates it a little bit.
I don't know, but if I have it on my hands, it'll transfer
everywhere.
back. But if I have it on paper towel, it seems to stick. Oh, I've gone down a row. Oh, there you go. I'm just going to have to be careful because it's going to mix. It's mixing the colours a little bit.
Might just end up making new colours. We'll have one that's ever so slightly different.
Yeah, this one could be slightly different because I've gone down a row. Never mind.
Oh, well. Oh, these colourways. I love that, what do we call it? The raspberry.
The raspberry.
I love the raspberry.
Yeah.
Such a gorgeous colour. And I must just warn you, don't eat these, but the best word I can use to describe these ink pads is definitely delicious.
Yes.
There's something absolutely sumptuous about these. They're just so juicy, packed full of colour, packed full of that shimmer and that shine, and all the colours are just absolutely fabulous. And like we've been saying on this morning's show and throughout this show as well, all the colours seem to work together perfectly.
They do, don't they?
It's weird, isn't it? 'Cause it doesn't seem to really matter which ones you pick up. They just all seem to work. I don't know if it's to do with the fact that they've all got that sheen and that shimmer to them.
This is what I'm saying. You pick whichever colours you want to do, and I'm sure they will work. You know, I'm looking at I love the frosty mint.
Oh yeah,
The peach rose with a little bit of the amethyst. Again, that's you think, oh, that probably wouldn't work, but actually, if you came to use it, it really, really would. So
and it's funny because I don't know if those colour combinations will perhaps work with our opaque pigments or our water reactive quite so well, but with the shimmer, I think they've all got that sort of unifying shimmer to them, if that sort of makes sense. They've all got that underlying shimmer and shine.
Yeah, it's almost like the commonality that makes them work, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Because like I was saying earlier, I wouldn't have put these three colours together myself, but goodness me, they work absolutely brilliantly.
Yeah.
Definitely a colour combination I'll be trying out when I get back in my craft room tonight, for sure.
And can you see how lovely that's working? I can just squeeze in a little bit of the red down at the bottom. There we go. Oh, I'm not quite, I've rushed that one. There we go, right to the edges. Make sure you go to the edges. The other one is if you find it easier, you could always make them a little bit bigger and then trim them down. But I've made sure I've gone right to the edges, so it's entirely up to you. So that's my
wow.
third one.
Every time, I know you've done that same technique 3 times over, but every single time that reveal when you peel back the stencil, it never gets old, does it?
It doesn't, does it? It really doesn't. And then we can then just pop that on there. Right, now I am going to heat emboss.
Right.
I'm not going to push my luck and do the other 3. We're going to do that. There we go. So let's get rid of that ink off there. I'm going to put my lid onto there. You can tell I've learned those tricks a few times, haven't we?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got 1, 2, and my third one. There we are. So let's bring in our heat gun. And I'm going to just start to warm up my heat gun before I bring it to the card. Yeah. I'm not going to pop it onto the card cold, just because I find you get the best effects. And again, I always test my heat gun on my glass mat.
I always do the same, yeah. Always do the same, test it first. I was always told that by warming up your heat tool first, you're less likely to get your card warping when you go on. I think that's
and
the
I
reason.
think you get a better emboss as well.
Yeah.
So because as soon as I put that on, can you? I don't know if George, if I bring it up.
Come on, George.
George, can you see how that's travelling straight away?
We've got it. Yeah. Oh,
there we go. Now, if you'd have got a cooler heat gun, it would have taken, and then, like you say, you couldn't end up scorching the card before the embossing powder has cured. So all has happened, because I've got the glitter in there, as that embossing powder has melted, and then before it sets, that glitter will just get captured in there. And when it sets and you get that glossy finish, you will find it's all encapsulated and it's not going to knock off, you know. So there we go.
Oh, those colours look even more intense now. They look absolutely incredible. That looks like a super expensive paper pad that you buy that's had that accent sort of, what do they call it? The UV, some sort of UV treatment where they get that almost like enamel effect to it, which is very, very expensive. You could buy paper pads like that.
That's the first one done.
Wow.
So just to show you, sorry, I can't hear what you're saying because I've got the heat gun and I can't hear it. I'm
Could be saying anything.
But I just want to show you the difference. Can you see the shine and the dull? Because this one's still got embossing powder on, and this one we have melted it. So I'll do the next one.
Hey, I could be saying anything over here. Corrine can't hear me. No, but they do look absolutely amazing. Look at that. I mean, it's another thing that never ever grows old, heat embossing. Just when you see that powder change and turn, wow, never grows old. Don't matter, I've probably done it hundreds if not thousands of times. I love heat embossing, but every single time you get that reveal, when it starts to shimmer and shine, oh, we've got a flyaway. It's magical. It really is crafty magic. But that stencil, I love that stencil. I'm looking at that design as well. I'm thinking you could be adding little gems or pearls to the little, and that bottom section there you've got at the bottom of the fan to embellish that further. If you've got little gemstones, that would look really, really decadent to be adding those onto there. Little bits of glitter, lots of options with that stencil, a fabulous stencil. If you did get those glitter pastes, that's the collection that came with, the glitter paste and your stencils. But the heat tool that Corrine's using is on the website.
Final one.
Get in there.
There we go. Isn't it nice? You know what we were saying earlier about mixing up your collections and go back in? So these stencils were originally brought out, you know, they came out at the same time as the glitter pastes. But I haven't used any glitter pastes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm using Shimmer Ink Pads.
Absolutely. I think sometimes when we have certain elements of a range come together, we sort of think, oh, those two always have to be used together, but think of using them with other things. Just think of them as stencils. Don't think of them as glitter paste stencils. They're just ordinary stencils. You can be using them with your shimmer inks like Corrine is here. You could be using them in your machines, in your Gemini die cutting machine to actually emboss with. Don't just think of using them perhaps with what we launch them with. Take them into your crafty stash and have a look what you've already got in your collection and use them together.
Right, I'm back in the room.
Back in the room.
I couldn't hear much at all.
Stop having to talk about it now. I'll have to be nice now.
There you go.
She can hear me.
So can you see now we've got our first three on here. Now, just to show you, what we've also got is I'm going to cut, oh, there we go. I'm going to cut out those pieces there.
Ah, yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 3 pieces of black card that are the matte layers and I'm going to stick those on because I want to use a little bit of wet glue because I feel it's a little bit, I like the rigidity that it gets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the glue on the back. I don't want too much because I don't want it to ooze. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to mat and layer those onto there. And then I'm going to leave those to dry, that glue to dry. Let's turn it over and give it a nice good rub. I don't want to rub the top because it's got the glitter and the embossing powder. I'm going to leave those to dry, 1, 2 and 3, while we do the next layers.
Brilliant. We've got a very special hello we have to say because we have a new viewer joining us. I always get super excited when we have new viewers joining us. I don't know if you're a new crafter or just new to Crafters TV, but we are joined by Lynn. She's watching not too far away, just down the road from Newcastle upon Tyne. Second day watching and she's saying she's learning so much. That's what it's all about. We don't just bring you the most incredible products at amazing prices. We bring you all this education. That's exactly what Craft Along is all about. That's why it's award winning. We're showing you how to use these products that we are bringing to you day in, day out and how to get the most from them. So I'm so excited that you're a sort of a new viewer and I hope that you'll continue to watch day in, day out. We've got our fabulous regular viewers that join us pretty much every single day. We love having your company and it's so exciting to get sort of a new member to our Crafters Companion family.
And I love the community, how people have become friends.
Absolutely.
Through this. Right, so I've got 3 of those, and we're just going to leave those now to dry. But doesn't that looks so pretty, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? It looks so stylish and elegant. I love that.
That looks I'm loving that. So let's put those, I'm just going to put those up there and leave those. So now we've done the inside mats and layers, we need to flip it over and we're going to do these. So I'm going to concentrate on these 3 first. And then we'll do the other ones in a few minutes. So we're going to do these. And again, I'm going to do them just like we did before. The background aren't the same because I find that's different. But we'll then just do the spots and dots over in the same way. Now, these are just with embossing powder, nothing else. No glitter in those. So what we're going to do is we'll do that first. So let's just go get our... So I've got another 3 here. And we've got our spots and dots. And again, I haven't really said these, when you get these stencils, you get 3 stencils in every pack. For the time being, we're just using the 7x7. You'll see on the front, I also used the circular one. I love this one as well. Look at that. I love how you've got big dots down to almost pinpricks.
It's so cool that, isn't it? I think for teenage cards that would be brilliant.
Yes.
I'm thinking as well, if you've got maybe some of the visible image stamps, that would work brilliantly alongside that. If you're going to go super, super funky for that, yeah, I like that one. Love the fact that you get 3 different stencils in one pack. So I think you maybe look at the packaging and think it's just the one, but you're getting the 3.
You are right. So let's use our. I'm going to go in with our daubers now. So it's up to you whether you use your square ones or which. I know they're rectangular, but they're called square.
Rectangle squares.
Yeah. Or you use your round ones. You use whichever ones you've got. And then I'm just going... Now, don't worry about over-blending. Because I always think at first you've got... You know, you see some people and they blend them so well. But don't worry too much about over-blending. Because we're going to stencil over the top, it covers up a lot of... You know, where they change from one colour to another. Oops.
Absolutely. It's very forgiving. So if you are new to inking, that's a great technique. If you have had perhaps a little inky fingerprint, which obviously I never do, because I have to say I always forget about putting my little piece of kitchen towel like Corrine is. If you do have a little inky fingerprint, by popping that next layer over with your stencil, it can hide a multitude of sins. Definitely. It's almost like sticking your butterfly over it, isn't it? It's that sort of idea.
So going in first with my first colour, I'm going to go in next with my Queen Bee, my yellow. And let's put, you also have to think to make sure I've left a gap. There we go, so we can put that one in. And as you'll notice, what I tend to do first is go in and lay the colour down and worry about the blending in a few minutes.
Yes, yeah.
Don't get too hung up on that to begin with.
I think sometimes as well we worry about things having to be perfectly blended, and that's not always what it's about.
No.
I say this a lot with your colouring, with your alcohol pens. It doesn't always have to be that super smooth blend transition. To get that more realistic effect, to get that more rustic or organic feel, it doesn't have to be that perfect blend every single time. You can still get amazing results without having that seamless transition between the colours. So I think sometimes we put a little bit too much pressure on ourselves when we're crafting. No need to. We can still get different results, different effects, just by having them not quite so blended. So just enjoy our crafting. Don't stress over it too much.
So there's my colour lay down. So I now know where my colours are going to lay down. So now I can do the bit where they're blending. I will admit, at home I used round daubers, but I know on the show we've got the square daubers. So I did say I would use these because that's what we've got on the show. So it's you're square dauber all the time.
No, I'm a circle dauber.
Oh, are you?
Yes, yeah.
I honestly thought you were into your square ones.
I'm pretty sure Debbie Robinson's a square blending tool for sure. I asked Craig once and he didn't seem to give me a straight answer. He seemed to hedge his bets and he'll use any shape of blending tool. But yeah, I'm a circular blending tool always. It's funny, years ago actually I used to be a square blending tool, but these days it's always circle.
Oh right,
yeah.
Perhaps, yeah.
Funny, isn't it?
Can you just see how we can then just add in those colours?
I have to say, I'm not quite sure why, but yeah, different preferences, I suppose. But now they're starting to blend and really coming to life.
Yeah.
That colour is intensifying even more, wow.
Yeah, the first time you put them down, you think, oh, there's not a lot of sparkle there, but then it seems to, you know, obviously the more you put down, the more sparkle you're going to get. And if you feel like it, you can even go straight in with your ink pads.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To lay down that initial colour, especially as you've got that lovely corner. So you can really see how there. And actually, I'm going to just grab my daubers just to come in there. That's really helping blend the corners in, isn't it?
I think as well, because they are so thick and sort of juicy ink pads, you have to sort of work them into your blending sponges a little bit more.
You do.
Which I think that's potentially why when you first put them down, the colour's not as intense and you do have to sort of work up those layers because they are so rich and thick in terms of the way that they've been sort of manufactured.
The pigments in our sparkle ink, our shimmer ink pads are just so thick, but you can see how it's laying down. But I'm not trying to do it so that there's, you know, like we did earlier with the pens, when we did the colour blend pens, we tried to do it so that you could almost not see the transition from one to the other. And that's not where I'm at. That's not the effect we're trying to get. What we're trying to do is just get some lovely colours laid down like that. So there's the first one. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to do them all first. So let's do all 3 of those. And again, you could have done them as 2 of them as one bigger piece. But I think it's an even bigger area to blend.
Yes, definitely. It's a lot less daunting to do it in smaller pieces, for sure. Definitely. I don't know if any of you guys at home can hear the rain, but it's absolutely busting it down now. It sounds absolutely awful. But yeah, definitely right to be inside crafting on a day like today.
It certainly is, isn't it?
After me, I think the reason why it's raining is because I said earlier, I think spring is here. Well, I'll eat my words, because it's certainly not by the sounds of that. That sounds awful.
It does, doesn't it?
Oh, blimey.
Wow.
Stay safe, stay crafting. That is definitely the order for today, I think.
I've got some things to put in the car. I think that might wait.
No. Yeah, definitely wait. I'm hoping it will have stopped by the time we finish tonight, but probably not.
George says at least your car's getting clean.
I'm not quite sure about that, George.
Does your car get clean in rain?
No, I don't think it does. No, like rain's not pure water. It's got all sorts of gubbins in it. Comes down through the sky. Could have all sorts of things. Yeah. He's trying to be positive, apparently. I mean, I didn't feel last night when I was walking home in the pouring rain that like I was getting a nice, lovely clean. I was just getting wet through, which was not too nice. Thank you, Jamie. Apparently that was my shower for the year last night. Well, don't worry, it rained on me earlier this week as well, so I've had more than one this year. The amount of rain we've had this year.
Oh, he's been
terrible, isn't he? He thinks he's safe in that gallery, but oh no. Yeah, it's not. He's not safe in the gallery, I'm afraid.
Right.
Oh dear.
As you can see, there is absolutely no pattern to my blending. It goes, they're different on everyone, and I think that's quite nice.
Yes, definitely.
That you get that different backgrounds.
I think that definitely works best for something like this. But I know when I'm to recreate this technique, I know there'll be a pattern. I know how my brain works. There'll be one in one corner, and then the next one will be a couple of centimetres down. And, won't be surprised if I get the ruler out and measure the gaps between each different colourway. But yeah, do try and be random. It does give you a lovely finished effect to have that random lay down of colour.
It does.
But they're so juicy, these ink pads. I mean, I've been using mine since October, a good few months now, and none of them sort of have lost that shimmer or that shine. They're still as juicy as the day that I actually got mine. So they are absolutely fabulous quality.
Oh, bless you. You are all funny.
Yes.
The comments coming through.
Absolutely. We're having so many comments of people saying as well how much they're loving this craft along. Shadaya is saying it's so stunning, she loves it. Nadia is saying it's looking amazing. She's fallen a little bit behind, but she's going to have to watch later to catch up. She's going to take notes for the moment, but she loves this project.
Do you know what, I sometimes think with craft alongs, it's almost better to do it just maybe even just an hour or two behind, because then you can pause and it takes off that pressure. You know, what you've got to remember is we've got to get this done in 2 hours. We're over an hour already. And do that one and then do the third one. But I've already made this once. I've made this once, so I've already thought about a lot of these tips and techniques.
Absolutely. And it's always easier when it's your own project, when it's your own idea. You're always going to be a little bit quicker. So I'm the same with Corrine. For craft alongs, I do tend to watch and then I'll recreate it at a later date.
But it was a while back that I sent you the pictures, wasn't it? I did this one really early.
Yes, yeah. So it's funny because I work as part of my day job. So I work in the team that actually puts together, you know, when we have all the screens at the start of the show, the shopping list, I sort of check all of those. So I get to see the craft alongs really early, which is super exciting. Corrine was very ahead with this one, sent across all the photos.
But you're not going to be quite as ahead with my next one, love, because I'm away next week.
Oh dear.
And I've got one about 4 days after I come back.
Oh, so. It might be a slap on the wrist for Corrine.
It's not going to be a slap on the wrist, but it's going to go to the wire. It's going to go to the wire.
I know what you've got for that one. I'm very, very excited to see your
just
project,
to say,
actually.
that's the glitter
paste.
Glitter paste, thank
Yeah.
you. Yes, I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that. We've
I've
got
just
some-
picked them up this morning.
Yeah, I found out yesterday all the craft alongs that are coming up for April. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see everyone's projects because there's some fabulous ones. We've had some great launches in March, and you know that when we do a launch, we like to bring you that craft along between 3 to 6 weeks, depending on schedules and everything, after that launch, which gives you a little bit of time to get that product home, have a little play with it, and then you can craft along. But we've had some amazing launches this month, so it means we're going to have some incredible craft alongs coming up next month as well. So inspiring. I know you guys at home love craft alongs as much as we do here. So much inspiration that we can bring to you. Just breaking that project down, spending the whole 2 hours taking you through every single technique, so many hints and tips, and that's what it's all about. But wow, this project is coming together. The time goes so quickly though, I have to say. It's incredible.
I've mapped my colour. I quite like that. I think this is probably the one I like the best. I like this.
Yes,
and, yes. This is actually my second craft along with the Shimmer Ink Pads. I did one on the 23rd of December.
Yes, I remember that one because it was the last day, wasn't it? And I presented the wake-up call.
Did you?
Yes, unfortunately, I think we had one of the Shimmer Ink Pads left.
Yes, I think that's why we brought it back again as a second craft along.
Because we're so excited we've got them back in stock. We want to be able to bring you another craft along because I know a lot more people at home now have the inks. So it's great to be able to do a second craft along. It's not very often that we are able to do that.
No. So let's just come in here, just a bit of speed that up and then start to blend those out. But yes, I'm doing the glitter pastes on the Easter weekend.
Oh, fabulous. Yes, looking forward to that one.
Yes. But I'm away next week, so it'll be when I get back.
Yes.
Because I'm here till Sunday, but then Monday is going to be packing and so I've got to shower the dog because she's going into doggy daycare for 4 days.
Bless her.
And I looked at her and I'm like, you can't go like that. So I've got I've got myself to pack, the dog to pack.
Oh dear.
It's like having small children again.
Probably worse. We have had a great question actually coming from Gareth. Can you stencil the shimmer inks and then emboss it with the Gemini, or would that ruin the inks?
Could you
stencil with the shimmer inks and then emboss with the Gemini?
Yes. Now, if you were to do that, what I would suggest is so what you would do is you would stencil, so imagine this is a piece of white card, stencil your pattern on,
yep,
and then pop it into an embossing folder. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's what she said, stencil and then emboss, isn't it? So yeah, that would work, but what you might find is some of your ink pads might transfer onto your embossing folder.
Yep.
That's fine, just give your embossing folder a good wipe afterwards.
Absolutely. So yeah, of course you can, and as well, you could be die cutting these. You could be creating your own backgrounds and then maybe you're going to be die cutting your own flowers or embellishments from them. Of course, you can be doing that. And like Corrine said, it's nice and easy to wipe off that embossing folder. But great question. If you do have any more questions for Corrine or myself, do get those in. That's what it's all about. And if we don't know, someone at home might know.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll get them answered.
There we go. Right. I'm going to leave it at that just because of time. So we've got one. And actually, you know what I mean? When you actually come back to them, you think, oh, I've not done a lot of coverage. Actually, now I've just looked at that. I'm going to have to do a little bit more on that blue. That's not deep enough. It doesn't match everything else. But it's amazing when you come back and have a look. It's what we were saying earlier, isn't it? Sometimes it's good to walk away.
Definitely.
And then have a look in a minute. Right, that'll do. So I've now got 3 of those. Okay.
Wow.
I know we're sort of racing on, but it's so hard prepping a craft along that's going to last 2 hours and it's going to fill 2 hours, but it's not going to go over 2 hours.
It's definitely a challenge.
It's definitely a challenge, but there we go. Right, so we've got that. Now, one thing I sometimes do with this is I've got my anti-static bag because I'm going to heat emboss. I don't want the embossing powder. You don't have to do this, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to go over those with my anti-static bag. And it's not transferring really onto there. And I'm just going to, I don't want my embossing powder to stick to that. I want it to stick to what I'm going to put on next. So there we go. That was just a little bit of an extra. So we're going to get the first one, and I'm going to get my dots and spots, and I'm going to pop that on there. And then, so you can see straight away how lovely it looks through there. And then just Now you think to yourself, will these show? Obviously the yellow will show differently to some of the others.
Yeah.
Let's start with the first one. Let's start in a nice logical order. So I'm going to come in with the blue. Just making sure I get enough on there. I didn't spray this one. It's just moved slightly.
Such a useful stencil, this one. It's going to be one you're going to be using time and time again, definitely.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what sort of colourways you're using with it. It doesn't matter if you're using it with your shimmer inks or anything else in your crafty stash, any other type of medium, or actually using it like an embossing folder and just running it through your Gemini machine with the correct plate combination to get that embossed design. Lots of options with this one, but doesn't it work well with your shimmer inks?
It does.
Gorgeous.
And don't worry about, when I'm embossing here, going over the same background colour with your with the ink when you're stenciling, because it will add an extra depth, but it will also, you know, it's going to be damper, so it'll, you know, it will show up. You might think to yourself, oh, and again, when you do this, with the ink that's on the stencil drags through, and you get a lovely effect. Oops, I just moved that. Let's layer that back up. There we go. And I'm just going to come in here with the red.
Wow, those colours really coming to life, and it's all about layering, isn't it? Building up that background, and then, oh, look at that. The reveal every single time, isn't that fabulous?
So now I'm just going to go in with, there we go, just regular embossing powder. So if you want to do a glitter on this one, then you can, but I just thought we've got 2 layers in the background and the front. I
think it's nice to just show the different techniques, show that variation.
Yeah. So what I've done there is I've just given it a good tap on the back, so that where the background is, it's coming off the background, but it's just staying on those dots. So can you see, it's popped off the background and it's just stayed majority on the dots. So we can do the next one.
Brilliant. Oh, question from Lynn Morton. What is an anti-static bag?
Pardon?
Lynn's asking, what is an anti-static bag?
Right, an anti-static bag is a little bag. It's a little cotton bag, and it's got a powder in. It's a bit like a mix between a corn flour and a talcum powder and something like that. So basically, all it does is it anti-statics. Yeah. Whatever you're doing. Why was I coming up with a really big word?
De-statics. Corrine's eating a dictionary for dinner.
So anti-statics, whatever you're doing. And one that I use it on all the time is if I'm making a shaker card, I do it over my acetate.
Yes, top tip that
always,
one.
Always, because I find that if I don't, your glitters stick to your acetate. So yeah, if you're doing a shaker card, always run your anti-static bag over your acetate first.
I don't know if producer Jamie can check, because I know we do sell them. I don't know if we've got any currently on the website, our anti-static bags.
Yeah.
Just have a little look. So I know we've done them in the past, but we'll check for you. And then Candy on YouTube is asking, how can you anti-static acetate sheets? Well, I think Corrine's probably just answered that in terms of just, again, with that same anti-static bag that you use for your heat embossing, just run it over your acetate before.
And then what I do is I will then give it a quick dust with a cloth to get rid of any residue with anti-static, with a acetate, because otherwise it can make it a bit misty.
Absolutely, great tip.
So anti-static it, and then just give it a dust off.
Brilliant. Oh, we're getting all the questions now. I'm loving
that's
this.
Good.
Tracy's asking, think a little bit off topic, but still great to have. It's another crafty question, so always great to hear. She's crafting and watching and making a memory album. Oh, I'm excited for you. I was saying the other day on my social, I'm a little bit obsessed with making memory albums.
Are you? I've never made one yet.
Corrine, once you start, you can't stop. But anyway, that's a story for a different day. And she's asking, what glue is best to use to stick photos down? Well, anything that's going to be in a scrapbook where you're using photos, you want something that's acid or lignin free, just so that it doesn't make your photos go yellow. I believe our all-purpose is fine for that, and I believe our tacky glue should be fine for that as well.
I'm sure tacky glue is. I'm just checking whether the...
While Corrine's just checking, we've got good news about the anti-static bags. They're in stock on the website, so get yourself over to the website. They're only a few quid, so great to just stick in your basket. Get one of those. If you've never used one before, it makes such a difference when you're heat embossing.
It's brilliant for any of your stamping. I'll often do, you know, with your stamping and your heat embossing, I'll often use that. It just gets rid of any bits on your card. Now I can see little bits stuck to the background, so all I'm going to do is turn it over. Oop, that's not going to help because I dropped it back in the embossing powder. Just give it a flick, and basically what that's done is it will cling where the dots are, and you can see all the background embossing powder has just popped off. Just because there wasn't enough, because I'd run that static bag over, there wasn't any moisture to hold it there. And my final one, my third one, for now, we're going to do something different on the next one.
Another little question we've got, what is the plate sandwich combination for embossing a stencil? It's one I always forget, I have to say.
Now, I think that's the only time where you use your rubber mat with your magnetic shim.
I think you're right.
Because you've not got the height of a die, so you will need all your plates, but on top of your first clip, your cutting plate, you put your rubber mat, then you put your cardstock, then you put your stencil, then you put the rest of your plates, and basically that rubber mat will push up through the cardstock and into the stencil. It's the only time, if I remember rightly, that you would use your rubber mat with your metal shim, because normally we say as soon as your rubber mat goes in, your magnetic shim comes out.
Yeah.
Except for when you're doing embossing with a stencil.
Yeah, brilliant. But if you are ever unsure about any of your plate combinations, if you check out the website, we do have that sandwich guide for all of your plate combinations for your Gemini machine.
Does that cover embossing with a stencil? I'm not sure.
It might not do.
I don't think
now you're asking.
I don't think it does. Oh, I keep moving my stencil. I have got a little bit of glue, but I tried to not put much on at all.
Just lining it back up. If you are struggling with your stencils moving, do just get a little bit of your stick and spray on. That is ideal. Just a little bit.
What I was trying to be careful was, if you use too much stick and spray and it sticks to any residue goes on the cardstock, because I'm heat embossing, my embossing powder would stick to the spray.
Course, yeah.
So I'm trying to keep, I've put a little bit on, but I'm trying to keep it really to a minimum so that I don't get any residue. There you go, just moved again. Any residue on my cardstock, because that's the last thing I want, is it to stick.
We had a tip actually when I was on with Michelle the other day from one of our lovely viewers saying, how about using your stencils in your cardstock actually in your magnetic stamping platform and using the magnets to hold it into place. It's not something I've tried myself yet.
Right.
But it does sound like it could be a very good top tip. I don't know if any of you guys at home have tried that as well and can recommend it, but I think that's one I'm definitely going to have to try out with my stencils.
I've done it before where I've used like my tape on the back and stencil up, because my card is smaller than my stencil, and that works.
Yes, and Michelle quite often uses the technique where you tape, I think it's 3 sides of the, or you tape the top edge of the stencil. You can do sort of the hinge technique, so it sticks it down into position, but when you want to check what's underneath, you can sort of lift up the stencil easily. That's a good tip as well, because the thing when you are using your stick and spray, you can't sort of have a little peek. You've got to peel it all the way off. It's either on or off. But wow, that looks lovely. Now that's all stenciled. And then get the heat embossing powder on. It'll look fabulous and shiny.
And then you're going to lose me again, because I'm going to need to heat emboss. I'm just mindful.
Go back to saying things now. Corrine can't hear me.
There we go. Oh, I've just knocked that bit off. If you knock a bit off, you can always, it will go back in. You can go back in with it. So let's get rid of that. And then, right, we've only got one more piece to do in a minute, and we'll do that after I've done these. So I'll heat set those, just put my lids on. So I've got the 3, 1, whoops, nearly threw it at me.
Oh dear.
2, and the 3rd one.
Lovely. I'm
I
just
don't know
going to
what
get...
Sherry's heat embossing. I can see Sherry's heat gone out.
Oh yes, it looks like Sherry's heat embossing as well. Yeah, so it looks like she's keeping up. I hope anybody who's crafting it along at home are keeping up as well. Perhaps you're not crafting along and you just watching to save the project for later. I hope when you do recreate this project, you're going to share photos with us, because we do always love to see your makes. It's super exciting to see the take that you sort of bring to these projects.
You can see that travelling, can't you?
Yeah, wow.
Looks amazing. Do you know what? Lots of people say they've never ever tire of watching heat embossing. It really is such a fun technique.
Absolutely, I could not agree more. I dread to think how many pieces I've heat embossed it over the years I've been crafting, but every single time it's that reveal, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just brilliant. Really is magic, I have to say.
And do you know what? As your heat gun gets warmer, it does get faster.
Definitely.
I can already see this is turning faster on this piece than it was at the beginning.
And that's the definite advantage of making sure you've actually heated up that heat tool before you go to heat emboss. It does just make a real difference to the effect that you'll get with your heat emboss. You'll get a much neater and quicker finish as well on there.
If you miss a bit of the embossing powder, it really won't hurt. You can go back in at any time and catch any bits that you miss. So don't worry about that. Now I know some people heat emboss from the back.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of many occasions when I know it sort of gives it a gentler heat. It stops things blowing off.
Yeah.
I very rarely have found the need to do that. Most of the time I heat emboss from the top.
I have to say I'm the same. I know some people say that because it melts slower you get a smoother finish, but I'm the same as Corrine. I'll be honest, I very rarely heat from behind. I tend to use that heat tool from above. I find it still gives me that perfect finish. But if you do think that it makes a difference, then by all means heat from behind. Completely your choice when it comes to your heat embossing. Final piece now, all starting to take shape. I'm loving the fact that we're seeing so many different techniques across this craft along. Using these Shimmer Ink Pads. They've proven very popular today. You can see why. Perhaps you've never seen them before. Perhaps you're new to us here at Crafters TV and Crafters Companion, and you think, right, I definitely want to give these a go. They're going to fit in perfectly in my craft stash and need these to work with what I've already got. And they will just sort of breathe new life into perhaps old stamps or stencils or embossing folders that you've not used for a while. I think these will sort of kickstart that mojo and just sort of revitalise your crafting, I would definitely say.
You always think if I'm doing the stencil with the same colours, it won't show.
Yeah.
But it does, doesn't it?
How well does that show? It really does
Really
stand
does.
out.
And it doesn't matter that your colours aren't, you know, what I blend, you know, that seamless transition. Right, I'm going to do exactly the same here. Is I'm going to pop these onto their black matte layers. So that is all 6 of those gone. Now, I'm not sure how far we're going to get with this. I want to get to the point where we've made at least one of the pockets so that everyone can see where, you know, how to go.
Definitely.
As long as we can get at least one pocket done, then I will be happy.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Corrine, Debbie's craft along on Wednesday, Thursday, whenever it was, I think it was Thursday, she didn't finish either. So you're in good company.
I know, I was here with one with Jan, and it was beautiful craft along, and she got to the point where she sort of constructed it, and then the decoration, she'd left people to finish it off. It's such a hard thing to gauge, to get it exactly right, isn't it?
Definitely, but as long as we
You've been doing some 1 hour ones. I don't know whether that's easier or harder.
They're hard to fit in an hour. It can be quite tricky. It's definitely a challenge. But yeah, I do love a craft along. I know so many of our craft experts here always say craft alongs are one of their favourite shows, especially to come up with a project, trying to research and find something that's going to be really inspiring and really special to show off the product to its best, really. I know us guys love creating craft alongs here at Crafters TV.
Oh, I love doing them. Yeah, I can sometimes spend far too long thinking about my projects. I've been thinking, since I knew I was doing the glitter paste, it's like, what shall I do? What shall I do? I think I've come up with my idea, but I'm not going to say because it could change.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but most of my projects never finish like they start.
Absolutely. Oh, I can't remember the
how
last
they
time
start.
that
Right.
Yeah.
So those are 3 for the outside. So we've got that there. So again, I can pop those to one side. And then I want to show you how I did this. So if you remember, we had a piece of black card that was, where's my list gone? I've lost my list.
Oh no.
It won't be far.
It'll be staring straight at you. It always is the same.
That's it, it's here. So I had a piece of black card that was 5 3/4 by 5, which is that, and a white that was 5 1/2 by 4. So we're going to use that. So that we're going to get all 3 of those pieces. You can see there, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces out there. Now, if you wanted to, you could do them exactly the same as you've done these, but I quite like having the white. It's almost like that flip-flop effect. So I'm going to put the black down, and we're going to get the white piece, and we're just going to pop our stencil on. So I've not even cleaned up my stencil, so we can pop that on here, and we can pop that one on there. And I did heat emboss. So what we're going to do there, so let's just do that one. I'm just going to follow the colours that I had before, just because it will be easier on the inks. So we can pop those on there. And again, by doing these diagonally, when we cut them in widths, we're going to get all of the colours.
Oh yes,
Yes?
of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
We're going to get all the colours going across there. So a bit of blue. There it is. And then a nice bit of yellow. Queen bee coming up next. And again, the colours will blend, especially with the ink that's on the stencil. Making sure I go right to the end because I don't want any bits that haven't got any. I'm sorry about that noise. It is absolutely raining.
Weather seems to be getting worse by the minute, doesn't it, here?
Well, we're here for what we're here for. We're here for another 4.5 hours, Lily. It could be
beautiful.
cracking the slabs by the time we finish at 8 o'clock. I can't
possibly.
imagine, but you know, it could be.
Could be, you never know. Stay positive. But yeah, it doesn't sound too good out there at the moment.
I've convinced myself that's what it's going to be like next week when I'm in France. France is not very far away.
Exactly.
And I've convinced myself it's going to be really, really hot.
Definitely.
It's not. It's not. I'm only going for 5 days. Just long enough to see my mum.
Oh,
So,
I'm sure it'll be bright sunshine. It'll be fine. Maybe. Is it North France or more
South?
Down? Oh, see, more chance there. Further away from here. I think if it was Northern France, I'd say.
No. It's southern France. Well, nearly southern France.
Yeah. Oh, you might get some nice weather. I mean, it'll be nearly April by then, won't it? So.
Yeah. The nearest place, George's Eymet, EYMET. Yeah. It's not there. I don't know what. He's going to tell me what the weather's going to be like.
Oh no. Do we want to know? It'll be better than here. I'm sure it'll be better than here. It can't be much worse by the sound of what we've got going off outside.
Worse than that, can it? Oh dear.
Oh, I hope there's not flooding here. Oh dear.
You're all right. You live in a flat. You're upstairs.
No, I'm on the bottom floor. I'm afraid, yeah, I'm on the bottom floor.
Oh, are you on the bottom floor?
Yeah,
I thought you were upstairs.
No, where I used to live, I used to be on the very top floor, but now I'm on the bottom floor.
Ah, right.
So, yeah.
Right,
I hope
okay.
it won't have washed away by the time I get home, but...
I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to heat emboss this, because then I'm going to do a little bit of background colouring, but I want to heat emboss it first, because effectively what I'm doing is setting the inks if I heat emboss it. So we can do this onto here. And again, if you didn't want to heat emboss, just leave it as it is. But I was trying to get in the lovely techniques on that. So we can do that one on there. Hopefully my heat gun's nice and warm because we've not long turned it off. So this one is going to create 4 pieces, but it's 4 small pieces. So I just thought that they were too small to do in one go, too fiddly, so it's much, much easier just to do it like this.
And I love the way we've almost got like a positive and a negative, if you like, with the 2 techniques with the stencils. You've got the super bright one that Corrine did first, now you've got onto the white background. I think it just sort of breaks up the more bold design by having the white background interspersed. I think that works really well. They look totally different.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's funny how different they look using the same stencil and the same ink pad colours, just not putting the inks on the background. Really does completely change that look and feel. Wow, look at that.
Right. Nearly there. Just make sure there's no powder left. And I love it how where you get, like, look at that, where the colours run one colour into another. Just think that's perfect. Okay, so once we've done that, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get those and I'm going to get a little bit of my inks, just put a little bit of my ink. I know I said I don't tend very often to go from the matte. Just every now and again, it's quite nice just to do a couple of different techniques. I'm going to pick those, do that, out there we are. And I've got one of my sparkle pens. Now I know these are Shimmer Ink Pads, but if you add water to them, obviously you're diluting the shimmer.
Yeah.
So I thought the easiest way to do this was to use my shimmer pen, my sparkle pen. Oh, come on. Because then I know I'm guaranteed to get the shimmer. So there we go. I'm just going to flick across the end and just, can you just see that coming on there?
Wow.
It's just, again, it's just a different effect. Clean the end of the shimmer pen. Let's go pink next.
It's just nice to show yet another technique with these Shimmer Ink Pads. Perhaps you never would have thought of doing something like this with an ink pad. Absolutely, you can be doing these splatter background techniques and they look absolutely fabulous. And it's just that finishing touch. It's just sharing with you another technique and another idea that you can be doing once you get your Shimmer Ink Pads home. 10-piece collection is on your screen. It's proven really popular today. Platinum price for those 10 ink pads is $43.13 or $57.53. Brilliant that we managed to get these back in stock and we can share with you so much inspiration using these brilliant ink pads.
Right, I've not gone heavy with them, but I just wanted to break up the white. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to just right, now that is the majority of the colouring done. So there might be a little bit more on the front in a bit, but we're just doing that. Oh, Sherry's clearly keeping up because I can see her shaking her Shimmer Ink pen.
Yeah, she looks like
Sparkle
she's doing
pen, rather.
really well. I'm looking forward to seeing her project a little bit later when it's all finished.
Right, just because of time. If I was at home, I would just leave that to dry.
Yeah.
Just for time, just give that a quick waft. Right, now, if you remember, when we had a look at this, these two pieces are going to be for the four panels. So I need one at 5 3/4, because if you remember, that is already 5 3/4.
Yep.
So I want 3/4, 1 1/4, and 2 at 1 1/2. So really easy. And again, I've said, when I come to cut things like that, oh, right, I can see on there. So this is 5 3/4. Not there, 5 3/4. Yeah, 5 3/4. But what we want to do is so this way is 5 inches. There you go, you've got my 5 inches that way. And that's going to be made up of 3/4, 1 1/2, and 2 1 1/2. 1 1/4 and 2 1 1/2. But I can't see 3/4 on here at all. So what I would do is, if that's 5, I'm going to take it down to 4 1/4.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm going to take 3/4 off the width.
Yeah.
And that means that then I know that that is 3/4.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, just there. Then I'm going to do, so I've got 4 1/4 left. So I'm going to take it down to 3, because that's going to take off 1 1/4.
Yeah.
I've got 3 left, and I'm just going to halve that to 1 1/2. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it made sense to me, definitely, yeah.
So what I've done is I've subtracted off to get the ones that I want. So you can see, and I can show you there, those two are the same, and then they go in that sizes. So we're going to do exactly the same with the white. So if you remember, we've got our 5 1/2 wide, we've already measured that. So in our width we want 1/2, 1, and 2 1 1/4.
Yeah.
So if this is 4, which it is, so if I want 1/2, I'm going to take it down to 3 1/2. That makes sense, doesn't it? Because you've got your half off your 4.
Certainly does.
So we're at 3 1/2, and I now want a 1. So that's going to take me down to 2 1/2, which is perfect because I've got 2 left at 1 1/4. I just have to hold that up there. I need to tighten this up. It's just dropping.
Got a wobbly arm, it's never good.
I do find the smaller ones get a little bit harder. Oh, there we go. just caught that out. Come, there we go. So should have 2, and then 1 there and 1 there. So you can see they all fit like that. And then we can just layer those up.
Lovely. And I think that technique of starting off with that larger piece and then cutting it down makes it a lot easier as well in terms of actually holding that stencil into position. I think it probably would have been quite hard with such a small piece of cardstock
Exactly.
to get that stencil in position.
Oh yeah, I think stenciling, you couldn't, I don't think you could stencil onto that, could you?
No,
Oh, you probably could, but it wouldn't give you the same effect, would it?
I think it would be hard as well with heat embossing onto a piece so small. So yeah, definitely top tip that one. Start off with that larger piece and then cut it down into your smaller panels. Definitely works a treat, that one. But that black really does make it pop. Black card definitely is the champion card of the day, I'd say, definitely.
It is. It just shows off everything that you've got, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It makes those Shimmer Ink Pads really pop on that stencil. It looks brilliant.
And this glue doesn't take long, but I think it also, because we're doing something that's going to have movement, and you know, you're going to be putting things in by using the all-purpose, it just adds that little bit of extra strength, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is a super strong glue. Once it's dried, it's really our set in position. It's a brilliant glue. It's my go-to. I use it when I'm crafting at home. I use it for all my matting and layering. I think it's fabulous.
Right, I'm mindful of time, so we need to just crack on with the next bits. And this is the bit I forgot to write on my sheet, so I've written it on now. So what we also need is 3 pieces at 7 by 8.5.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to have to take each one out of a piece of A4. So if I go, now remember, white A4 card is 8 1/4.
Yeah, silly.
So you've got to do it widthways. So let me pull the arm out here. There we go. Put that down there. So if we go 8.5 first, which is just there, and then we go by 7. So these are going to make your 3 pockets on the front.
Ah, yes.
They're going to finish at 4 by 6.
Yeah.
So let's go down to 8.5 again.
Funny, we were just talking about the all-purpose glue, and I spied some on Sherry's craft desk. I could see Sherry was using her all-purpose as well.
Her all-purpose
she certainly was, yeah.
Yeah.
My favourite of so many is a fabulous glue.
It
like
is.
Leanne says, it is best glue in the world, for sure.
So 7 by 8.5, and we just need 3 of those. 8.5 by 7. There we go. Right. As I said, these are going to make our little wallets. So you bring in your, this will fit on your smaller scoreboard. I'll do it on the smaller one, just because, obviously, as you said, we don't do the big one out in America. So let's just do it on the smaller one. So what we want to do is, and I've just drawn it out, is we want to score 1/2 inch down each edge, and then we want to do 1/2 inch across the middle.
Ah, yes, yep.
Yep.
That makes sense.
So let's do 1/2 inch down each edge, which is the easy one.
Do you quite often draw little diagrams like that with your measurements when you're crafting and working?
Oh yeah, because I started off, look, you can see that was my 6 by 4, and then I was like,
yeah.
I can't believe I forgot to put those on my original one.
Oh.
So 7. So I'm scoring at 1/2 and 6.5.
Yes.
So if you've done so the difference between 1/2 and 6.5 is obviously the 6, because this is going to be 6 by 4.
Perfect.
So I'm going to turn it round, and it doesn't matter that it goes off the edge, that's really not a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score down at 4. So I've got one piece of 4, then I'm going to score at 4.5. So I've got another 4 on the other side.
Yes, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I'm going to do that, repeat that again. This is such a repetitive project, from the cutting, the stenciling, you know, everything about it is very repetitive. I think the finished look is lovely, but the process, so we're going to go 4 and 4.5, is very repetitive, which I don't have a problem with that. Oh, go for it. Let's.
Got a question
from Sherry.
Question from Sherry. Yes, Sherry, got a question?
Yes. I know it's half an inch on each side, but what's the score measurement down the middle?
Right, okay. So
Measurements
I'll
again?
show you on here.
Corinne's just going to show you the measurements
So
again.
we'd want
if
to
this
do in
helps.
half an inch from each side.
Right.
Half an inch from each side, so because this is 7 wide, so we're scoring at half and 6.5 to give you half an inch, because that's 7 along there. And when we turn it that way, we're going to score at the 4-inch line and the 4.5-inch line.
Okay.
Yeah?
Brilliant. Has that
Yeah.
answered your question, Sherry?
Yes.
Oh, fabulous. Lovely. Right, back to Corrine.
There we go. So I'm doing the last one and then the 4.5. There we go. Okay. And then it's to score these. Now, we're not going to stick these together for a minute because I want to cut the half circles off. So we can come across here and across here. Now, I'm going to do these with circular dies. If you've got a punch, you could use a punch if you wanted to.
Yeah. That would work
It's
well.
entirely up to you. So what we're going to do, I'll do it with the first one. So I'm going to take that and then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to cut down each side to there. That's simple. I'm not cutting it away, I'm just cutting it down.
Okay.
Just to there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, gosh, a long time ago, I'm going to get my finished one of these. And all I'm going to use is I'm going to use a couple of dots. You could stick it down, but because the glue would be wet, it might move. So I'm going to do a couple of little bits of dotty tape pen and put it where it's going to go. And then I'm going to get my circle dies, which are under here. There we go.
Hiding.
Now let's just check which ones I used. Oops, everything's falling out. It was those two. Yeah, that one must have been for the, that one was for there, yes, that's okay. Right, so I've got my two largest ones. So I'm actually going to use, so I've got two consecutive sizes. You can use any two you want. There's no rule, right or wrong. But I'm going to take the smaller of my two consecutive sizes,
Yeah.
whichever yours are, and I'm going to pop it. Actually, that's not in the right place. Because I've used my dotty tape pen, I've got scope to move it. Pop that there. So I'm going to take that, and then I'm just going to pop that on to there to create a semicircle. I need some low-tack tape. Where is my low-tack tape? I didn't get it out because I thought, did I not get it out?
Oh no. Should be some in the caddy to the side of you if you.
Yeah, there probably is, but I wanted to, I find mine might not take, no, I'll have to use some of this one.
Oh.
I was trying to find the one that I use that doesn't, I know wouldn't take it off. So I'm going to take that, there we go, right. I'm going to pop that on there, make sure it's nicely centred, and I'm going to cut that in half. There we go. Pop that on there. Now, the die might struggle to go through 3 layers, and that is why I've not stuck it down,
Okay.
because what it'll definitely indent, even if it doesn't cut.
Perfect.
So let's put that onto there, and I can just put my tape onto here. So fits perfectly onto your A4 plates, and then we can run that through my Gemini. Like I say, if you've got a hole punch. Now, the first one I did of these, I tried to do it. I tried to do it in separate pieces.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Things
No.
like that, trying to line things like that up,
No,
never
doesn't work.
works, does it?
Well,
no.
maybe some people can make it work, but
Oh,
I
Corrine,
couldn't.
I can never line
I
things
just
like that
could
up.
not.
It's like when you're doing apertures and you've got mats and layers. No, can't
Yeah.
line
Now
up.
you can see that's not cut through my 3rd layer, but it has marked.
Yeah.
So I can lift this up carefully, making sure I don't peel.
I mean, you were asking an awful lot of that die.
I was.
It does have to be said. I mean, 3
was.
layers of thick cardstock, one of which has got your ink pads and your embossing on as well.
Exactly. So we can take that off. That will now, and if it pulls the card a little bit, it won't hurt because it's going to be glued back down. But I'm just going to lift that off, which has just caught it a little bit, but I really don't mind at all. Now you can either do it with your scissors. I think one time I did that, I just cut it, because I've got, can you see I've got an indent?
Yeah.
But what I'm actually going to do is get that die to click into that gap.
Oh, because you'll have the indent, it'll
I've got the
literally just
indent.
slide back in, yeah.
It just
super
slides,
easy.
yeah, it slides in without any, there you go, I can feel that's in there, and then I can put my tape, that's going to be waste, so I'm quite happy to tape onto there,
Yeah.
and then that way around.
We'd always say, wherever possible, make sure you do tape onto your waist, because
Yep.
if it does rip, then it doesn't matter at all. If you tape onto your waist, it just makes it a lot easier. You're going to get that neater finish. Because there's pressure of our jam and ice, sometimes it does make the tape a little bit more sticky as it goes through, doesn't it? So yeah, if it does rip, tape onto your waist, you don't need to worry about that at all.
There we go. So now, there we are, perfect. That has now cut, and that will now line back up, and that will line up perfectly. So the other thing I'm going to do is, while that's going, I'm going to get one of my, did I have enough on one of my scraps? So one of my scraps of black card, and I'm going to get the 2 circle dies. I'm going to pop them, now I want the smaller one, that one. That one will be better. I'm going to go for a little bit of a gap. There we go. I think I probably should have cut it with that smaller, I'll cut it with the smaller one in a minute, the other one. Right, so we can take that off like that. Oops, I'm picking up everything here. And I'm going to cut that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my tape pen for this, because I've actually used my all-purpose glue there, so I know it's nice and strong. And again, like I said, this is really repetitive. We're going to do exactly the same for all 3 pockets.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so nice to have that process building. We've got Jeanette saying she's really enjoying watching this come together. Absolutely. We've started with that blank cardstock, nothing to look at to start with, but we've started to build that project. As we've moved through the craft along, we've shown all those different techniques, and we're just starting to build it together.
Exactly.
There's something so satisfying about that when you can see that project come to life. For me, that's one of the most magical things about crafting. It's starting with nothing, and at the end having something that you've created that you can actually be really proud of.
Right, so that will now fit onto here. And again, just as you would with making your boxes, it's so much easier to do your mats and layers before you stick everything down.
Oh, definitely.
So we can pop that onto there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of, I'll put it onto here, I'll put a little bit of wet glue all the way around there. And then this semicircle will fit just there. And then once I've got it into position, oh, that's a bit wonky there. There we go. That'll do. What we can then do is, oh, no, that wasn't on. I hadn't quite got that on there. There we go, that's better. Then all you need to do is take your scissors across, and then you've got that perfect sort of reinforced neck. Just think it, and it's up to you whether you want to take it right up to the top like I've done, or you want to stop at that point. And then to make the pockets, like, because we are going to desperately run out of time, I'm going to pop, let me get this right. So what I want to do is I'm going to pop that one down. So I'm going to take the back panel, take the back panel, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the inside, and I'm going to bring that down to a right angle, and that one down to a right angle. Now I find it much neater if you do the back panel first, and then just need to hold that. I'm not giving it time to cure, to grip. So we can hold that, and we can hold one, come down, 1 and 2. You might want to use a tape pen if it's playing up like mine is.
Or you could just use perhaps your little quilting clips or little wooden pegs as well to hold that in position. It's always the same though on live telly, isn't it? It never likes to play ball.
And then I'm going to just pop a little bit of glue on here. Now the reason I've done it in this order is, and I'll show you, then when you put this one down, can you see that seam now is at the back?
Yes, yeah.
So you're not going to see that seam at all. So we can put that on there, and then all I need to do is just press 1 and flip that one over, bring that together, and pop number 2. Oops. There we go. Number 2. There we are. And you can see now we have created, I'll turn it around that way so you can see. It's just catching, there we go. We've created the perfect little pocket.
Oh wow, that looks fabulous and it looks so professional. By having that sort of reinforced frame around there, I think that really does finish it off beautifully. Gives it such a professional finish.
Just need a little bit of glue on there. There we go. Go and hold that. There's always one that just doesn't want to grab there. That's grabbed. Okay, my hands are filthy.
Oh,
okay,
dear.
so we're not going to get everything put together, so I just want to show you. Oh, I forgot to curve my corners on here. Never mind. That one wanted to go on there. I'm just going to curve. I forgot about that. I'm going to curve. Which one did I do? I'm just going to curve one side of this.
Okay.
Would have been better if I'd have done it in layers. But I forgot. So these are going to go on here, on the outside. So we've got this is coming back to our original case that we did. So we've got a dotty one, and then the largest of our dotty ones. So these are in different sizes, and I'll show you, and you'll see why. When you put the wallets in, you can see why they have to be different sizes.
Okay.
Let's go that way, because then that should, my pattern follows.
Oh, nice.
There. Then I want one of my bigger ones from here, and that's going to go onto there.
Such a different effect, isn't it, between those two sort of techniques you've used with the white background and the ink background?
Yeah.
Just looks completely different.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But there's still something about them that's got that synergy so that they work together.
Yes, absolutely. They're different enough that they're different for that variety, but they're similar enough that they sort of coordinate together.
Exactly. I mean, if you wanted to, you could have put the other pattern on. I did think that one, you know, about that, but then I thought, no, I'll keep with the dots and spots. So there we go on there.
But then because you've used the same ink pads, the same colourways with the other stencil, that's sort of like the unifying factor for those. So then those panels work together.
Yeah,
so it all coordinates beautifully. It's such a lovely, professional, finished project, isn't it? I think it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Just something a little bit different. Third one, and then 1, 2. Ah, there it is. I'm glad they can only see my glass mat. It's chaos.
It looks like my craft room.
No, you're not supposed to go in vision and show everybody, George. Right, so that's on the outside. You can see that rolls up. So that's the thinnest one. Then it goes a little bit wider there, because that goes across there. And then that one's a little bit wider. So you can see now, look, why each one is slightly bigger. And I'm just going to show you with one of these pockets. So once we've got this onto here, and that's stuck down, these are just going to pop on to there. So I'm going to give you a quick tip when you put these on. So I'm going to put some wet glue on.
And using your tacky glue for this?
I'm using tacky glue for this.
Yeah.
And then what I'm going to do is this one's going to go here. So I'm going to fold it at that score line. Open that. Can you see? Fold it there.
Yeah.
So that when I put this on, because it'll be the same size, I can then push that into that score. Do you follow me there? So that will fit in there, and I can butt that up. There we go. And then that will then just push around there. So that will go like that, and then that will fold around there.
Oh,
so
perfect.
you can see like that. So, right, we're nearly out of time. So you would just do all 3 pockets, you see, in exactly the same way. Absolutely no difference whatsoever. So the only other thing I've done, I'm so sorry we've run out of time, is I have then used that circle stencil on the front, and then I wanted to show you this, but basically that was, if we saw this morning, I've die cut out of white, inked it up, and then enamelled it with my embossing powder. And the last thing I wanted to quickly just mention is, if you don't have dots that match perfectly, all I have done is I've taken a plain one, and then I've got one of my tri-blend pens, and I have just, look at that, coloured it up to match, and it's colours so easily, and that doesn't come
perfect.
off. Once it's on, I'm trying not to get my hands too mucky. There you go. I've now turned that white gem into a yellow gem because I wanted to use it on my friend and then in the centre of my flower.
Oh, perfect.
Now I know we've rushed through the end. Oh, I've used hook and loop just on there, but hopefully I've shown you enough that everyone can complete their projects.
Definitely, what a fabulous project that was. I know we didn't quite reach the end, but we showed you all those techniques and as well exactly how that finished project will come together. Now we're just going to check in with Sherry now just to see how she's getting on. Sherry, how are you doing? How's your craft along coming along?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah?
I just got to watch back in the pockets, but I know how to do them.
Oh, brilliant. You almost there then.
This will be my pot.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah.
Is that from the pastes one? Or is
No.
No.
I think it was from one of the craft kits.
Oh, yeah.
I
yeah.
like that one. Oh,
And then I'm sentiment,
now that works really well, having that white.
Butterflies.
That pinky.
and some flowers.
Oh,
Wow, that looks lovely. I love that take on it. Love to see that when it's finished.
yes, please do send in a photo when you've finished everything. It's looking absolutely fabulous. I love that saying guide that you've used on there. It's one of my favourite sentiments that we do. I think it's gorgeous. It's been so lovely to have you join us today on the Craft Along, Sherry. Hopefully you'll be able to join us again in the future. But have you enjoyed being on the Craft Along?
I have. Do I have time to show you one thing, two things that I made real quick?
Yeah,
go on
we'd
then.
love to see. Go on.
Go on.
Share your makes. We love
No,
to
it's
see
not going
what
to
people
turn
make.
off. That was Debbie
Oh,
Robinson's.
Debbie Robinson's.
Craft Along.
Other way.
Other way, other way.
Other way.
There you go, right by your face.
Oh my
Perfect.
gosh.
Oh,
Sherry,
wow.
that's amazing. Using the angel collection, that isn't it?
That
Yeah.
is lovely.
Wow.
And I put a candle inside it.
Oh,
And what was the
lovely.
other one?
Let's have a little look. Oh my gosh.
I have this light up box that I made as well.
That's absolutely incredible.
Gorgeous.
Talk about a showstopper of a project. That's incredible. Are you loving the angel collection then? Is that one of your favourites?
It is.
Yeah, I love it too. I think it's gorgeous. Oh, careful.
It's okay.
Thank you, it's been lovely, and I'm glad you followed on. I love your tip. Please, when it's finished, put your makes on. Did you say have you done any of the pockets yet?
No, I started it, but I haven't actually got one completed yet, but I'll get it done.
Okay, that's
Brilliant.
fine. That's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please do send in your pictures and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It's been absolutely fabulous. Super talented crafter. Those makes are absolutely stunning. Keep sharing your makes with us because they are brilliant. And take care. Have a fabulous rest of your day. Hopefully speak to you again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Oh wow, gosh, what some amazing projects they were. Blimey, it's been a brilliant craft along. It has absolutely flown by. An amazing project from Corrine. Talking of amazing projects, we've got lots more incredible deals and inspiration, I'm sure, coming up on tonight's Colour Me Happy. It's a spring sale special. We've got some incredible savings. We did give you a little sneak peek of some of those on this morning's Play Your Crafts Right, but lots more deals coming up on tonight's show. So definitely make sure you join myself and Corrine for the last show of the day. It's a Saturday night. Where else would you be, quite frankly? Best place to be is joining us here on Crafters TV. We'll see you at 6 o'clock. But of course, you can be checking out those baskets between shows. Have a little shop around the website. Don't forget, spring sale is still on that website. Savings of, we say up to 70%, but really up to 80%. Don't forget, today only, we spun that wheel and we've got the free gift on every single order over £10 or $10. Make sure that you are checking out to get that free gift secured today. Of course, we are still part of our National Paper Craft Month, National Craft Month even. This week it's all about storage, and if you check out the website you'll see savings of 15% off selective Crafters Companion and Spectrum Raw storage. And as if that wasn't enough, we've also got some amazing deals just valid for this weekend on some of your Totally Tiffany storage. We've put together some fabulous bundles of storage essentials, so check out the website for those because they do end at midnight tomorrow night. Now, it's been a fabulous show and we'll see you back here at 6 o'clock to do it all over again. I hope you have a nice couple of hours off. Maybe you're going to have a bit of tea, maybe do a little bit of crafting, maybe you're going to catch up on that craft along. But whatever you do, make sure you join us back here at 6 o'clock. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.